Recording of the session here. So first of all, thank you very much for the initiative and for giving us the opportunity to present our trains to you and to Back on Track. It will be me, Johan Seitzmann, project manager for this procurement, and my colleague Alexander Schibergson, who is the industrial designer for Norske Tog, who will present this session for you. As we understand that most of the interest and from your side was on the design and especially the night trains. This is what we will also focus our presentation on. But I would just take the first few minutes in the start to give you a brief overall introduction to the project, to also a little bit of background to Norske Tog for those of you who don't know who we are and have never heard of us before. And then Alex will take over and give you an in-depth view of the design of the trains and the considerations that have been taken from Norske Tog during the design phase here together with Stadler. This next slide, Alex. Yes, thanks. Briefly the agenda, as I already touched into it. I will take the introduction to Norske Tog and the project and tell you a bit about the timeline, where we are at the moment, and then move on to Alex. So Norske Tog, who are we? Basically, we are the entity in Norway that is responsible for the acquisition of railway vehicles, the ownership, the maintenance, and that basically for passenger train traffic. So Norske Tog owns the majority of passenger trains in Norway, and they are then leased out to the operators. Altogether, we have 288 train sets in Norway that are run by Norske Tog, and there are, in addition to that, there are 20 locomotives and a little bit over 130 coaches. For Norske Tog, we are a fairly small company, given the scope that we have to deal with. So we are only 87 employees at the moment, and we also are assisted by several consultants that, especially for the ongoing procurement projects, since these are not activities that we would do on a daily basis. Then to the procurement that we're going to present to you, the new long distance train sets. Basically, the objective of this project that was given also to Norske Tog was the procurement of a fleet of new long-distance trains that will basically operate on all the long-distance lines that we have in Norway, those being the Bergen line between Oslo and Bergen, the southern line between Oslo and Stavanger, the Dovre line between Oslo and Trondheim, and then the northern line between Trondheim and Bodø. And basically the task was to replace the whole fleet of long-distance trains that are currently operating in Norway, which is a mix of different types and different generations. And this was the goal, to unify those, to have the same basically product running throughout Norway, replacing all the locomotives and coaches, and also with regards to passenger capacity currently operating on those lines. These trains are delivered by Stadler, and they have been severely adjusted to the Norwegian climatic conditions, which has been challenging because these trains are going to run through various challenging climatic conditions, also especially during winter and over the high mountains and so on. And that's why they have been named Flørt Nordic Express, or we call it also Flørt Nex. In addition to that, Norwegian politicians have the ambition that the trains can connect Norway with a European continent in the near future. So we have also been tasked to procure a product that makes it possible to run the trains from Norway to Copenhagen, and that is hopefully something that we will see also to make this train accessible to a broader audience. The contract itself altogether has a scope of delivery of up to 100 train sets, and including all the options. When I say 100, then that means basically a train set equivalent of 110 meters, because the trains that we have procured at the moment, they are 220 meters long. So they basically consist of two train set equivalents, or configurable units as we call them. So we have the option to buy a train set that is only 4 cars or 110 meters, or we can go for longer ones, 8 cars, 220 meters, just that we know that the overall scope that we can procure within is 100 train sets of 4 cars, so to say. So the primary delivery, which we have signed the contract on, is 17 train sets of 220 meters. So basically, out of the 100 train sets, we have procured 34 at the time being. Out of those 17, there are 13 EMUs and 4 BMUs. The 4 BMUs are meant to run on the northern line, where the line is not fully electrified. The total cost cap for this primary delivery is roughly 10 billion NOK. So it's let's say these trains are not cheap, but you will probably also see why as we go through the presentation. In those 17 train sets in the primary delivery, they are delivered in 4 different configurations, which I will show you briefly in the next slide. So 4 types broken down, the different needs of the operators and the lines. We have 2 types that are made for day and night travel. Those are type A and B. The main difference here is type A is a EMU and type B is a bimodal train. So it runs has a power head that runs with a diesel engine, and that is the type B for the northern line. And then we have 2 train sets that are day only. That is type C and type D. They are more or less identical. The only difference here is that the type D has a cargo car as well, and that is instead of 1 passenger car. So here the capacity is a bit lower because we want to make possible that you can transport a higher number of bikes or skis into the mountain areas in summer or winter respectively. So I'm not going through all these numbers here, but just to explain a little bit the background, we wanted to maximize capacity as far as possible, of course, so that the operators can earn as much money as possible. At the same time, we want to provide a lot of facilities that that will contribute positively to customer comfort, and so we have also the possibility to have bikes on board. There's the train sets are universally accessible. There are 3 wheelchair places in each train. We have 4 wheelchair lifts for redundancy purposes on each train set. There is both a combination of recliner seats, regular seating, and then the possibility for the types A and B that will run at night as well to have to basically turn the seating areas into flatbeds. So there are 18 sleeping compartments on both of those trains. So the total passenger capacity is between 327 and up to 464, depending on the configuration here. Yes, and then just where are we in this project? So that these trains are not running yet, and it will still take a bit of time until you will see them on the tracks. The contract was awarded in March 23, and we have since then done a thorough design phase. And because, as you saw, the procurement was split up in different configurations, different types, we have first focused on the day trains, those configurations that don't have any sleeping compartments on board. So they have been, and that design phase has been completed in December 24. And then January last year, we started with the design of Type A, which is the night train, electrical version. Here we are just about to complete this design stage. And we have then also this year started in parallel with the design phase of Type B, so which is the bimodal version. In the end of the day, it's identical to the Type A, but it has a power head. So here it's basically the design of the power head that is the difference. So the goal is here to have everything completed design-wise by the end of this year. In parallel, production has started of the first train sets in May last year, and it's now in full swing. And the first train set is actually just about to be completed in production, and also with final assembly and everything, and is ready to be pushed over to commissioning in Switzerland in May this year. One highlight of this year is certainly that Stadler will present this train at InnoTrans in Berlin, and I hope that as many of you as possible will use that opportunity to take a first glimpse at those trains. The opening, I think it is scheduled for the Tuesday, the first day of the InnoTrans. As we go further, then trains are going to be tested in Switzerland and Velem in Czech Republic this year, and then the first train set is expected to come to Norway in January. For then 1 year of extensive testing in Norway, and also running through the whole authorization phase, with the goal then to put the first train into service in the first quarter of 28. And then the remaining 16 train sets will follow accordingly in 28, 29, and the beginning of 2030. Yes, that was the introduction from my side. So now I hand over the floor to Alexander. Thanks. You're muted, Alex.
Hello, everyone. So let's have a look at the train. So what you see here is the train as it is delivered from the manufacturer to Norske Tog. And in Norway, we have several operators that lease these train sets, and the leasing agreements allow each operator to apply their own exterior livery. This means that the same train platform can be visually adapted to reflect different brands and visual identities, while the underlying technical and passenger-focused design remains consistent. So this is Finse, 1,222 meters above sea level on the halfway point between Oslo and Bergen. And this is not an extreme scenario. This is normal day-to-day operation under demanding mountain conditions. The train operates in an environment characterized by frequent snowstorms, prolonged periods of extreme cold, and continuous exposure to ice, moisture, and condensation. Repeated transitions between open weather-exposed mountain sections and long tunnels create rapid and significant temperature fluctuations, placing substantial loads on material systems and interfaces. These conditions impose extraordinary requirements on material selection, sealing solutions, ventilation, thermal management, and overall operational reliability. Getting this right is not just a technical challenge, it is essential for ensuring a stable, quiet, and comfortable interior environment for passengers, regardless of the exterior conditions. In this context, comfort is directly linked to engineering performance, and robustness in design becomes a prerequisite for a reliable and high-quality travel experience throughout the entire life cycle of the train. So, welcome to the mountains. Access to the car or access to the train is provided through the central doors, with one on each side of the train in every car in the central position. In an 8-car train set, 2 cars are equipped with wheelchair lifts, and these 2 cars are fully accessible for wheelchair users. Let's head inside. So, the vestibule area of this train is quite spacious, allowing for passengers to enter and exit with their luggage, be it large suitcases or skis, etc. We've also made we've tried to make this as a welcoming space as possible. And we have used this space or we think of this space as also a space to go when you are traveling longer distances and need to get out of your seat and stretch and move around and maybe go and have a good look out the window. Additionally, in this space, most of the vestibule spaces also have these seating surfaces that we have put on top of these gray boxes, as you can see on both sides of the internal door. These are padded seats, and we also have a kind of back support on the walls over these seating surfaces. Both of the sides here also have USB-C charging ports if you want to go out here and charge your phone or make sure your phone has enough power when you're talking to somebody. We also have a big window in the door. We've tried to maximize the size of this window. We've also asked for a photo optic window so that you can stand here and take photos of the landscape when you're passing through. And again, it's fairly spacious vestibule. We also have toilets, both for both the standard toilets and the wheelchair toilets in the vestibule area throughout the trains or the train set. And you can see the wheelchair lift here right next to the door into the toilet of the wheelchair or the PRM toilet. Let's have a look at the premium compartment. It's found in one end of the train set. In some configurations in the end car, but with other configurations, also half of the adjacent car is full of the recliner seats. It has a 2+1 configuration and is exclusively stocked with recliner seats. They are wide, comfortable seats with lots of leg room and arm space with electrical adjustments of the mechanical seating elements. The seats can recline to about 45 degrees and is an alternative to booking a sleeping compartment. So you can see here, they can recline quite extensively, and the challenge obviously with these seats is that the more you recline, the more you need to increase the pitch of the seats, and we've found what we think is the best solution here, maximizing capacity, as Julian was talking about, but also providing a good space for the passengers. We have something new in this train that we not have in other trains. We have this meeting pod. And the meeting pod is a small compartment for one person or two very small people. It's a well-lit space with a comfortable seat and a table. It has a small light and power plugs for keeping your laptop charged while working remotely or participating in a Teams call. This space is in the premium car. It's always in an end car and is accessible to our passengers that travel in this section of the train. You can also see that there is a sound absorbing element on the wall. We're trying to make this space as functional and comfortable as possible for people talking on the phone or in a Teams meeting. And it's also a very nice space. It's the only private cabin, if you will, on this train. Let's move over to the regular or comfort compartment. These compartments are found throughout the train set. They have a 2+2 configuration and provide a mix of vis-a-vis and so-called airline seating. These seats provide ample opportunity to nest yourself as a passenger for a long journey ahead, with power outlets, reading light, a fold-down table and a personal items net, and a couple and a bottle holder, which doubles as a tablet holder. We have footrests and of course the possibility to recline the back rest for a more comfortable body position while resting or sleeping. Luggage racks are distributed throughout the train set with plenty of space for luggage and skis. This one is a fairly large luggage rack. We have smaller ones also, most of them with skis, just a few that do not have space for skis, but we have designed the rack so that you can also put luggage on top of the whole rack, also where the skis can be stored. As also in Norway, it's not always skiing year round, but so this flexibility to use this space for a fully stocked luggage bay is possible. And if someone decides to bring their skis into the passenger compartment, we worked with Stadler to reduce the size of the cantilever brackets holding up the luggage shelves overhead to prevent skis from falling out if they are placed there by passengers. There's also space underneath the seats as they are all cantilevered, so there's plenty of space for luggage. Let's have a look in the family compartment. Obviously, we embrace and encourage families that choose to take the train when traveling. This space has room for 2 strollers and is adapted for use for families that travel with small children. We have the vis-a-vis tables in this family compartment. They have a graphical surface which allows children and parents and their siblings to play a game while traveling to keep them occupied and make the journey more fun. The play space is designed as a miniature replica of waterfront housing in smaller villages of Norway, such as Bryggen in Bergen, with a happy and colorful contribution to the interior. Inside, the kids will find a Pantonesque landscape with stairs and a slide, a hideaway space, and a small play area in the uppermost room inside this space. And as a fun side note, the mock-up of this slide construction was donated to our professional testing crew, the kids in a Swiss kindergarten, and they were extremely happy to receive this. So let's have a look at the flex area. Each train set has a large space typically called flex area. You'll find space for skis and luggage throughout the train, but in this space, it allows bulkier luggage such as strollers, bicycles, and skis. And as Julian mentioned in his table, there's space for 8 bicycles in this space. The ski racks are also designed to be strong enough to hold luggage in case someone wants to use that space during summer when there are no bicycles installed or in use, taking up space. We also have the mentioned cargo car. 2 cars will have this configuration. The Bergen Line will receive these 2 train sets with dedicated cargo cars with expanded space for the most busy bicycle days of summer, or when hordes of skiers participate in the famous Skarverennet from Finse to Ostose station in April. It was just a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of people would like to bring their bikes up in the mountains during summer, and so there's lots of space for that here. At the opposite end of the cargo car, you will find a dedicated logistics space designated for organized transport of luggage or for commodities heading to stops along the way that is not reachable by road transportation. Let's head into the restaurant, or the bistro, as we have long called it. It fills the better part of half a car in every configuration. In this half, you see the seating area, where you can enjoy a drink and a meal with your friends and fellow travelers. Additionally, this space is a bit of a scenario change in the design, with slightly different colors on the flooring and the wall paneling, and a darker toned leather upholstery of the seats and a white Korean material on the tables. A small lamp was designed specifically for this space, and you may recognize the color of this lamp and the galley wall from the inside of the entrance door that we saw earlier in each vestibule. This is a color we like a lot. It's called Oslo Blue. And you also find brass strips to provide a longitudinal impression of class in the restaurant, and what we have called roguish sophistication. In the other end of the restaurant, you find the self-service food, drinks, and snacks section. Here you can grab a wrap and a Coke, a chocolate or fresh pastry, of course, depending on what the operators decide to serve or offer, and of course, coffee. We also have big LED displays above the cabinets that provide the operators to present their products and menus of what they have to offer. We also have a large waste cabinet section here to facilitate proper sorting of the waste generated in the restaurant. Now let's head into the seating and sleeping compartments. We have put a lot of work into these compartments to create a space that is flexible enough to work both in the daytime and nighttime configuration. Here you see a 4-place daytime configuration with a wide, comfortable, and generous bench with armrests that can be folded up to allow a full sofa for lying down or seating more than just 2 people. The seating is staggered to prevent passengers' feet from conflicting with each other. Small storage spaces and power outlets are available on the wall above the seats. And underneath the seats, there are no obstructions in case passengers want to bring their skis into the compartment for the fear of theft or for security. As you can see in the 4-bed compartment, we have these generous, nice armrests that you can fold down or up. We have this table that you can use for eating or playing or for socializing. We have also a 2-place compartment where the tables come out of the wall opposite the seating places. And when you're sitting in a 2-bed compartment or a 2-place compartment, you'll be looking at the cabinet on the opposite wall, which houses the facilities for nighttime functions. But it's closed off for use during daytime. That's at least the idea. Okay, so here is a nighttime configuration of a 4-bed compartment. And also a bit of a scenery change, as now the paneling on the wall is still with the mountain graphics, but now with a lighter tone, or a whiter tone, I should say, on most of the paneling. And this is, of course, to make the space appear a little bit larger and less cramped. Obviously, we are dealing with relatively confined space, and we'd like to maximize both the physical and the cognitive impression, let's say. A ladder is of course available. It's hidden during the daytime configuration, but it can be taken out and used to climb up to the upper bunks. And we also have side guards on the upper bunks to prevent passengers from falling out. Each of these compartments also have a PIS display on the wall above the window. They mirror the ones found in the vestibules, but they are somewhat adapted to fit the needs of the occupants of the sleeping compartments. Here's the 2-bed compartment, similar setup as the 4-bed, but now the wall has opened up for nighttime use. You'll find a wash basin there with fresh water. It's potable water. You'll find a mirror, a soap dispenser, and should be possible to brush your teeth and clean up before going to bed or getting out the door in the morning. We also have PRM compartments. I would call them premium compartments because they are the largest compartments that we have on board. There are 2 of them in each sleeping car or in each train set. These are in a separate car than the other sleeping compartments, which is accessible with the wheelchair lift that we saw earlier. You can roll a wheelchair into this space and, of course, bring a companion. And we also have the opportunity to sleep in the nighttime configuration in this PRM sleeping compartment. Let me finish off with a couple of slides on why we think the N10 project matters far beyond Norway. We think this project demonstrates how night trains can play a central role in the sustainable transport system, not only in Norway, but also internationally. The experience we have gained is directly transferable to other rail projects, both night trains and daytime services, and we think it provides valuable insights for future procurements. Through this project, Norske Tog has demonstrated how passenger experience can be actively used as a tool for a risk reduction. Flexible solutions provide better long-term adaptability than rigid optimization, and early integration between disciplines, design and engineering leads to a more holistic and robust solution. So what can other projects reuse tomorrow? Well, night train thinking can be applied to daytime trains, particularly in terms of comfort, privacy, and flexible solutions. Designing for flexibility, making more trains more robust and adaptable to changing needs over their life cycle. From the passenger perspective, as a risk reduction tool, rather than something added late in the process. And as a treat, we have a movie that Stadler has put together for us. Thank you to Stadler. And I hope you have, it's okay to see it on your end. And it has sound. Hopefully you can hear it. So I'll see if it works.
The sound doesn't work, Alex, but I think it's okay to, it was background music anyway.
Sorry, I will turn off my microphone. Okay, thank you. I think that concludes our presentation. Paul, you want to take over?
Yes, and thank you for the presentation. And the idea is now that we can spend the last 20 minutes together by asking questions. And I think the most easy thing for us is just to raise your digital hand, and then there will be some kind of order where you can put your question loud and clear to all of us. Please don't hesitate. I know there's also a chat, but let's try to start it with our voices.
We can maybe start off, Paul, by I see that the one comment or question has come in the chat.
Sylvain,
so that will give the participants a little bit more time to think about it.
Sure.
So Sylvain, you wrote that it would be interesting to have a recline angle also on classical seats, like 130 to 145 degrees, that still allows to have high capacity, like 76 seats for a rig carriage. Will you do it? That was the question. I mean, Alex, you probably know better what exactly is the recline angle on the regular seats. But I think we can confirm that there is a recline a function on the train on those seats as well.
Yeah. So there are several ways to do this reclining. We are really trying to navigate quite a tough requirements regarding the TSI standard, and these seats, they recline by tilting the backrest, and I think it moves out about 70 or 80 millimeters on the bottom part, and that I think equates to about 5 to 10 degrees. It's not a whole lot of reclining. The challenge is that if you use reclining seat backs, then you come really close to or you approach the seat behind you, and you move into that space that you're basically not allowed to by the standard. So then this is typically a way to solve that. There are different mechanisms, but if you need to recline more than that, then the reclining seat option is obviously a better solution than the regular comfort seats.
Sylvain, are you happy about this answer?
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, it's important to have a very high capacity in night trains, and we see that bus like carriages on or coaches on roads, they are allowed to have very close reclining seats. So it's what you say is that in railways you are not authorized to make the same as we have on roads.
No, also not the same as on airplanes. The standards are different. That is a hard standard, and as you say, it's a capacity issue. It's really a big puzzle to put together this, and so it's limited then by how much you can move the seat and the backrest, and you cannot put it into the space of the seat behind you, unfortunately.
Perhaps spaces has to change also to be competitive with roads and flights in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Hibai, you have a question?
Yes, yes, thank you for the presentation. Yes, Alexander had in one of the latest slides, it mentioned something about the flexibility on the future for these trains. Like I am guessing that what you mean is like the inside of the train could somehow adapt to the changing needs. And I wonder if you could say a little bit more about that. Like, how do you envision the life cycle of these trains, like once they get into service and maybe they need to adapt or they need to be modified by different operators, but also be so what's the flexibility that they will offer moving forward?
It's a very good question. I'm not sure if I can answer to your satisfaction, but I will try. So the flexibility concept that we have tried to implement is to have functions that can be used for different purposes, such as maybe in particular the sleeping compartments that are typically a compromise. That's the optimization part, where you optimize so it's possible to do something, but it's not really very comfortable. I believe what we have achieved is flexibility in that space, where you not only have comfortable seats. We did not just put comfortable seats in and then make it really difficult to create a sleeping compartment scenario. We managed to work out a solution where we think that flexibility that you have there, for instance, with it being a bench, we see that you can use that for lying down, for instance, or if you bring your kids along, you can tilt up one of the armrests and you can lie down and they can lie in your lap, for instance, or you can sit together. You can sit more than one person on that bench. Whereas I would say the original concept was much more locked into, you sit here and there's no flexibility in that sense. I think it's easy to talk about the flex area, maybe as an area also where we try to we're kind of locked into obviously it being a bicycle space mostly during summer, and then the other 6 months it's maybe more of a ski space. It's an open space. It's rigid in the sense that there's no sense to no purpose or no solution, sorry, to reconfigure that space for other purposes, but we've left it as large as possible so that it can be used for all kinds of luggage, not only bikes and skis, of course, and also that we can use the ski racks for luggage as well. We think is a plus. We also tilted the ski rack so that the luggage will not slide out in the curve, for instance. I cannot think of any area maybe that we have built in more flexibility than this, and that's we've had a lot of iterations with the operators. They obviously have as Norske Tog, we're not selling tickets. We are buying the trains, but we have a very close dialogue with the operators. They have been sort of on board in this process. We've involved them before the contract was signed, underway with meetings, and they participated in our mock-up reviews, full-size mock-ups, testing and trying and figuring out if the solutions we are building are good for them. And the feedback as it currently stands is that they are very happy with the platform that they will take into use in a couple of years. I don't know if Julian, if you have any additional comments.
No, not really. I mean, if I understood the question from Ibai correctly, it was more thought about the future adaptability of the train set. But I mean, that is not what we have considered, like in a way of a certain modularity of changing parts of the train. If that is what you were referring to, so that you, for example, could see there's an.
Yeah. Sorry, Alexander's answer was a little bit more about the interior design that could be adaptable to different needs, and I understand this. And that was also part of my question, but the other part was maybe these kind of different life cycles between the carriages or the train itself, and then the interiors that maybe could also be repurposed to, for example, a sitting car could be rebuilt into a compartment car. This kind of adaptations that could be necessary in the future, because maybe the life cycle of the train is like too many years, and then the interiors may have a different pace of change. This was a little bit about that, but also what you, Alexander, covered, that the design itself gives also some flexibility into how it's used then by the operators.
Yeah. So I mean, in the basic design, of course, we are aware of the this idea. In an ideal world, this would be the case, the way you describe it. But there are so many parameters that we have to take into account when designing a train. Designing it for future upgrades at the later stage. With regards to the interior, this has not really been done, because you will have to see how the functions work, and then you can always, during a midlife upgrade, do certain updates. Where it has been considered, and that is a significant point, is the power head, which at the moment originally is designed to run on diesel. And we know what diesel means from an environmental perspective, and we were very critical with regards to that in the beginning, if we really should go that way, because we know also which message it kind of can put out to say, like, we buy new trains and they still run on diesel. But given the nature of the Northern Line and the infrastructure, state of the infrastructure, there was no alternative not to go electric or hydrogen at the point of time, because the technology has not come to that stage. So here the design is clearly taking into consideration that the diesel engines can be taken out and can be replaced by another energy source at a later stage, and that is currently also still a very valid topic in the design phase that we're going through for this bimodal train. So really make sure that with as minimum effort that we can replace the diesel engines with, for example, batteries at a later stage.
Yeah.
I think if I may just also add, what adds to the complexity, Hibai, is the fact that many of the technical functions of the train is distributed throughout the train set. So you cannot really swap one car with another car if you want to have more passenger seating. You cannot necessarily just replace it and add another one, because they are integrated in the vehicle throughout the whole train set. That makes it a bit tricky. But as Julian said, I mean, if operators in the future see different needs, let's say we want to have more premium seating, or we want to have more regular passenger seating, I'm sure that would be an adaptation of the concept that would well, I wouldn't say it's immediately possible. It might be demand new cars, basically, but it's one of the limits that we've sort of tied into, and also, interestingly enough, there are really a lot of opinions on what you should put into a 220-meter train. I won't get into that, but we've had the chance to talk to a lot of people, and people have a lot of different opinions on what they want to have in a night train, particularly. So what we have tried is to build as much flexibility as we have found, so to speak, and it will be obviously very interesting to see how it's received when it starts operation in a couple of years, and there might be some issues then that turn up that maybe we didn't think about, but hopefully will satisfy most travelers.
Thank you. I have a short question, and Joris has also a question. Let us make it quick and short. But Julian, in your beginning of your introduction, you somehow said that Stadler and you also probably thought that there was some international potential with these new train sets, but on the other hand, they are rather expensive, as you also indicated. Do you really think, or do Stadler think that they are? I mean, they are ready to have a large commercial career on the European market in the future with such a high price tag?
I think this question you have to ask Stadler when you see them at InnoTrans, what their ambition is. I think they have, I mean, I know from Stadler that they are very excited about this train set and very motivated to making it basically the benchmark in night travel in Europe, at least. And then they will see what spans out from that. Maybe, I mean, we have tried to put basically everything that we could think of into this train. Other customers might not need all of that, so they would just pick certain elements that they want to replicate for their needs. And then, of course, I mean, if you pick a design that has already been made, it will become cheaper for the next customer that buys these train sets. But I think it's, from Norske Tog perspective, that is not our ambition to design a train that can be sold by Stadler to other markets. But we have already seen that, I mean, this design of the train has been actually sold to other markets. It's, for example, the Arlanda Express is also going to be built by Stadler, and you will see several elements from our train set also being replicated there. So it's of course a whole different purpose. It's an airport express train, cannot be compared with a long distance train, but you will find when you look at the platform is identical, and the look and feel also in several areas is kind of will remind you of this Flirt Next train set. But I mean, for us and from politicians, the ambitions is at least that we don't just drive these trains in Norway, but that we have the possibility to make them available for a broader audience, that we are able to drive to Copenhagen because we have the same gauge, and we can and from there we can connect to the European mainland. So at the moment there is, at least with night trains, it's not possible. And so this is our ambition and the hope that we can maybe market these trains and make more people also come to Norway to use them where they drive on a daily basis.
Yeah, thank you. Joris, that's time for your question.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation, Julian and Alexander. I'm Joris van Omme, Business Development Manager for Televic Rail. We are active of supplier in a PIS system, so the hardware and the software. And one question, actually two questions, is how important is PIS in that type of trains? And is there also a central platform? There will be definitely some software on board, but is there also a central platform where you can manage all the PIS stuff over the total fleet? I'm totally new in the market, so maybe it's a stupid question, but I just want to understand if night trains have different needs on the PIS level, and if there is something central software layer on top of all the trains you will have in service.
I can maybe start quickly, Alex. There is definitely a wayside system that where you can control the PIS, and you basically can upload advertisement content and entertainment content and so on from the land side onto the train sets. That is the case for all of them, both the day version and the day-night version. And we have also deeply involved our IT engineers in the design of the entire system. And Alex, you have also been involved, especially with on the PIS part. So you can maybe say a bit more about that, and also especially with regards to the difference with between day trains and night trains on the PIS and
Yeah, so yes, we have been heavily involved in developing the PIS, and we took that opportunity basically to try to clean up a little bit, take our responsibility in making sure we have some conventions in the passenger information sphere that of course allows for flexibility, but to try to remain true to some of the conventions already in use in Norway. Just as a side note, as we were studying to start the PIS development, we did take a look at most of the passenger information systems available in Norway and find that more or less all operators do this differently. So we have tried to move in a direction where we do not create a lot of new elements, but try to use coloring and coloring of scheduled planned traffic and deviations. Similarly, that Bane NOR, which is the infrastructure owner in Norway, do it. And we work with that as a basis for the PIS on board. When it comes to the difference between a regular train, if you will, and a night train, the most significant adaptation we are doing is to set a different configuration for the sleeping compartments. They are they have the same more or less format, but we have different information in there that we think is useful for whoever is occupying the seating and sleeping compartments. Off the top of my head, I cannot think of a lot of differences from a regular long-distance train without sleeping compartments to our platform.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I can see the time is about to be out for this webinar. And that means that I can remind the participants again that the webinar has been recorded, so there will be a second chance to look at what we have seen today. And so at the end of the seminar, I have to say thank you very much, Alexander and Julian, for your readiness to show us this fantastic train. And I hope that, as you say, we can see it at InnoTrans in Berlin right from the first day of the InnoTrans event, where we can see your first set. I suppose you are also eager to see it and see the reception from the many people passing by. So thank you, and Back on Track is very much interested in this solution for sure, and the participation has also shown it here this afternoon right in the middle of working hours. So thank you. Let us just end here. If you have nothing more to say, no, you are looking satisfied as far as I can see. Thank you, and have a nice afternoon from here. Yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.